do. It's season 2, it's in 30 at 30, season 2. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Welcome, Crib community. I do not own the rights to this music. It is Marvin Gaye singing a very important song. But welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up, Dominique? What's up, Megan? Hey, Esther. What's going on? So good to see folks in the room. Welcome, Crib community, to 30 at 8:30. When you come on in the room and hit share. Hey, Shauna, I somehow knew you were gonna be here. What's going on? Hey, Andrew, how are you? Hi, Christine. Thank you for always watching. Hi, LaDanya, what's going on? How are you? Love this. Okay, I think our special guest is arriving. Just, here we go. Welcome. Hey, Emma, what's going on?
Hello.
I just had to play this.
Oh, it was good. I heard it.
I had to. But I don't want to take any more of this time up because we have things to talk about this evening. Hey, Alicia, how are you? Welcome, Crib community. Come on in the room. When you come on in the room, hit share. For those of you newly joining us, the Crib community is hosting 30 at 8:30 every Wednesday night. It's a space and time where we hold the space for the impact of not simply COVID-19, but structural inequalities on some of our most vulnerable. 30 at 8:30 is brought to you by the Center for Research and Innovation for Black Survivors of Homicide Victims, aka the Crib. What's up, Victoria? I see you there. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, I just have to get out. How are you? How's it going?
I am good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm really, really well. And as I mentioned to you earlier in our conversation, I'm just so excited that you're here this evening. Really, really excited. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, you guys ready, Crew community? You ready? Okay. Acting Superintendent Stacy Clarke is currently the unit commander of the Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit. The unit provides expertise on community collaboration and capacity building and places communities at its core function while supporting divisions and units to embrace all levels of partnerships to enhance community safety and security. Stacy was previously the second in command at 14th Division, which includes priority and community response officers, district special constables, civilian and auxiliary members, and she was a co-chair of the Policy and Community Engagement Review, PACER, for the Toronto Police Service. Stacy's diverse policing career has included working in primary and community response units, intelligence, homicide, criminal investigative bureau, professional standards, and the Toronto Police College. She is known for implementing the province's street check legislation. This is one of her many accomplishments as master trainer and controller of legislation 58/16, the collection of identifying information in certain circumstances. She continually communicates her honest belief that in the advancement of policing and efforts to reinforce community trust and simultaneously effective policing, Stacy is a believer in continued education. She has received a Bachelor's of Arts degree in criminology and has completed many leadership programs, such as the FBI LEADA Trilogy. She is a 2018 Civic Action Fellow and is one of the 100 accomplished Black Canadian women for 2018. Let me just say that again. Is one of the 100 accomplished Black Canadian women for 2018. Stacy gives much of her success to her strong Jamaican upbringing and remains most proud of her two children, Janaya and Kafani. Acting Superintendent Clarke often speaks to the importance of being determined with direction. In 2017, she created her why statement that reads in part, "My goal is not to live forever, but to create something that will." And without further ado, Crib community, please give a full, wholehearted welcome to Acting Superintendent Stacy Clarke.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharpe. Thank you so much for that wonderful, wonderful introduction.
Oh, I mean, this is all you. You deserve it. And then I'm sure there's more. I know there's more. But, Stacey, before I begin, I want to uplift and sort of reflect upon some of the conversations you and I have had offline. And one of them being that I currently sit on the Toronto Police Services Mental Health and Addiction Board. In a former life, I worked side by side with police officers in Hartford, Connecticut, to respond to children in crisis. But as of late, in the past year or so, I've been wrestling in my spirit with things that I know to be true in terms of the way that I was raised. My mother taught me and my grandmother taught me that you can look at someone's character and begin to work in community with them for the greater good. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I've been challenged with finding that greater good when it comes to police. Mm-hmm. Until I met you. In the past year, you have given me so much hope because of the manner in which you show up for our people. And so for that, I want to start off this particular segment for thanking you for that, because I know that it's not an easy lift existing in institutions that didn't often allow us to be our true selves, that sort of thing. So I just want to thank you for that.
Oh my goodness, I'm so overwhelmed by that comment. I'm actually speechless. Wow, we all carry such a load, and I just feel like, I know that I'm standing on the shoulders of great women and men who have walked this path and who have walked this road, and so. I continue to draw my strength from them. I draw my strength from you. And it's going to take the collective. It is. And I'm up for it. I'm really up for it. And so thank you for this. And thank you for doing all that you do. I'm truly looking forward to this segment. I am.
Thank you so much, my sister. All right, let's get down. Let's get down with the good down. All right. So let's let the Crib community get to know you a little bit. Mm-hmm. What led you to a career in policing? What led you to
I've always had a desire to be a part of something bigger than myself. And funny enough, growing up, I came to Canada from Jamaica at a young age, and I felt like I just wanted to be impactful. I wanted to help people. I wanted to serve people, but I wasn't too sure of the capacity into which I wanted to do that. And I watched a lot of Matlock And if any of you, I aged myself just now. I watched a lot of Matlock, and I was feeling drawn to the profession of law and that type of advocacy, and just defending people who were being wrongfully convicted. And so my first passion, I was being drawn to that particular path. And then through a coordinated effort of several Toronto police officers, they introduced me to policing. And I didn't really see how I would fit. I didn't see my purpose in policing. But I was told, I said, I didn't see anybody. I didn't see any police officers that looked like me. How could I be a part of an organization where I don't see myself? And, it was that moment where I said, oh, wait a minute. And Sergeant Terry James, well, she retired right now, but she was in the recruiting unit at the time. And she said, Stacy, we've got to be a part of the solution, not the problem. And it just, there are just some words that I believe that God puts into the mouths of people just for you. It was, and I believe those words were just for me.
Yes.
And it just resonated. Yes. And I literally had a complete change of direction at that moment, and joined policing. Yeah.
Representation matters.
Huge.
Representation, but representation with integrity matters.
Huge.
Love
Big
it.
time.
So that being said, I just want to make sure this is correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You are one of only 5 Black female police inspectors in Canada.
And so here's what's happened now. There were 5 as of January. Okay. Isabel Granger of Ottawa has just been, recently, is now a superintendent in the Ottawa Police Service.
Okay.
So then there were 4. And then I just recently was promoted to an acting superintendent.
Okay.
But I am one of 5 senior officers. That's right.
You are one of only 5 Black female senior officers in
That's
Canada.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
You are one of only 5 female police senior officers in Canada. With a
female
career
Black.
Spanning, Black. Sorry, Black. Black female.
Yes.
With a career spanning over 22 years, I'm being purposeful with the repetitive nature of my words. Hear me, Carib community. With a career spanning over 22 years, can you speak to how you navigate your multiple selves, multiple identities of being Black, being a woman, and being a senior police officer?
It's when that realization hits you, it really fundamentally shocks your system. And I'll tell you why, because throughout my adult life, I've navigated being a Black female. I've navigated it through high school. I navigated it through university, and even during athletics, I navigated it then as well. And I didn't think that being a police officer was going to actually add to the identities. Like, I didn't really know that it was going to happen. And quickly, your experiences quickly just kind of remind you, oh, there's one more here.
Right.
And and so you really need to be grounded in who you are. I think I was already grounded as a Black female, so being a police officer didn't really compound it for me. I actually was familiar with the space. I was very familiar with the challenges. And I think having a strong sense of self, coupled with my value system, has in fact allowed me to persevere throughout my career.
Yeah. It's a necessity.
Absolutely.
Because you can't do it without being firmly grounded and rooted.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yes.
So tonight's episode is entitled Reckoning and Reconciliation, question mark. A title designed to invoke historical and contemporary conflict that exists between the police and Black and brown people as a result of their repeated experiences with state-sanctioned police violence. As a Black police officer working within a system that has committed these atrocities, how does the reality of systemic injustice impact how you go about doing your work? How does this impact your engagement with Black and brown communities?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a question. That is a question. You know, Dr. Sharpe, in every single thing that I do, I am intentional. I take every opportunity to encourage my colleagues, as well as members of the communities I serve, to understand that you really have to know where you are starting from. Then you have to understand where I am starting from. We have to recognize then we're at two different points. But then let's take the time to learn about each other's journey. And so that's how I first impact my work. As a Black female police officer, I am calling out systemic injustices in every form. And I do mean that. And whether it's through policies, whether it's through procedures, I believe that is my purpose. I truly believe that's my purpose. As you speak to the impact of engagements, and engagement specifically with Black and brown communities, the reality is that what we do weighs way more heavy than what we say. But how we make people feel is by far what we have to achieve. And so impact is the most important thing to me. So I absolutely, I leave everyone with their dignity. Everyone, whether it is members from our Black and brown communities, whether it's the officers that I supervise, right? We are all people. And so I am intentional in that space. I'm not afraid to have courageous conversations, not at all. And so I pay attention to all the opportunities that are presented before me that creates a teaching and a learning environment. While I worked at the Toronto Police College, it was something that I was incredibly passionate about. I took every opportunity to ensure that safe spaces existed, ensure that we could all have these conversations and understand each other's journey, and not to be divisive, but instead to show that it's okay that we're not all walking the same path. That is okay. We just have to get to the real space together. And that's what we truly have to do. And so now, as the unit commander of the Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit, we are now embarking on such a journey to redesign this unit with community voices at the center. It's at its core. We are being very authentic and intentional. We've already designed two design thinking workshops with both internal and external stakeholders. And we're intentional in looking at our impact and trying to assess the gaps. And I'm not here to fool anybody, I recognize that there are communities out there that are just like, oh, no, this is not going to happen. No, this isn't real. This is the police just saying they're going to do what they're going to do. I understand that that's out there. And so I'm not here to even say what we're going to do. I'm just going to do it and let everybody see it happen.
I'm just going to do it and let everybody see that it's going to happen.
That's right.
I love it. Crib community, if you didn't hear those gems, I'm just going to do it and let everybody see what's going to happen. It's about having those courageous conversations, but elevating it to a point of action with community front and center. Community front and center. Thank you so much, production. Thank you very much, production. I see you. I got you. Thank you. Just a little private conversation I'm having with people on set. Just don't mind. So next question.
Just keeping it real.
I am so excited. Okay. All right. So let's take a deeper dive off. Let's jump off there. In response to police brutality, a movement towards social justice has taken place across cities, provinces, and countries. The demands of this movement have been referred to in several different ways. And I think we need to speak candidly about the elephant in the room. Defund the police is the term that has been utilized to speak to the need for change. Now, I say that recognizing that this term evokes many different emotional responses to different people. And we should also recognize that the term has varied meanings. The movement could mean, at the very least, that we need to take a serious look at current policing practices and we need to implement reform, or at the very most, let's completely abolish this institution and reimagine community safety. Originally coined by the Black Lives Matter movement, the term has taken on a life of its own, really. And one of the things we want to do in this discussion is to unpack it all. So, what does defund the police mean to you?
I love the idea of reimagining police services right across the board. I mean, what I believe police services need to do is to thoughtfully review and reevaluate what its role is in society as we currently see it today. And this may in fact include reviewing, how much we spend, and quite frankly, are there funds that can be redirected to other agencies in order for us to better serve marginalized communities, right? Or communities who are vulnerable. I don't think we should be afraid of looking at that space. And I love the term that has been coined of reimagining what that may look like. I think we can find a different purpose in that space, and one that is, quite frankly, that allows us to continue to serve. It will, in fact, continue to allow us to serve our communities.
Authenticity matched with action that allows us to reimagine the possibilities of a new world, a braver world, a safer world, in particular for Black and White communities. Love it, love it, love it, love it. What might defund the police mean for reconciliation between the police and Black and Indigenous communities?
Wow. Now, I'm just, my thoughts are, if we truly take a look at if these communities are being adequately resourced, if we truly take that look, if we really take a look and look at it with those lens, I believe we'll see that there's funding that can go towards preventative measures with respect to these communities. But we definitely have to want to take that look. We have to be willing to take that look.
How about that?
Absolutely.
How about that? Willing to take a look. Wow. And I love the fact that you are really unearthing a lot of what we talk about here at the Crip community in terms of let's look at the systemic structural inequities that are inherently structurally violent that have contributed to a lot of this. Yeah, absolutely. I want to switch gears for a moment. But I mean, if I think about it in reality, it's all very much connected. When we consider the chronic, direct experiences and witnessing via social media platforms of state-sanctioned police violence for Black and brown communities, we begin to recognize the significant level of trauma these encounters leave in their wake. With this understanding, where do we even begin when we consider approaches to reconciliation? When we consider that level of trauma, repeated trauma.
And it's something, I know I shared with you in our private conversations that is something that I am just continuing to unpack myself. But it starts with empathy and compassion. It just really has to start there. And understanding and a thoughtfulness to confronting systemic racism and inequality. If you don't come at it from that approach, if you aren't true in that approach, don't do it. Just don't do it. Yeah. A true commitment with an actual action plan for sustainable change. A true commitment. And again, not about what we say here, solely about what we do, not about what we say. And then I'm going to say, to acknowledge the trauma that many Black and racialized individuals have experienced. These experiences, if I can't say it loud enough, must be valued. And I mean must be valued. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Right. The repeated exposure to trauma must be acknowledged. Yeah. Without question. Thank you for that. Last year, you and I both spoke about the importance of Toronto Police Service's collection of race-based data. Now that the policy has passed, requiring the TPS to collect race-based data, what is your hope for the use and distribution of the data?
I am truly excited about this initiative that our organization is embarking upon. I'm one of the change management leads on the race-based data project. And I believe that is my job. I'm put my hand up, put me in there, because I believe the lens needs to be there. It's my hope that the data will give context to not just our communities that we serve, but context to police officers as well. For it to ask those tough questions, the questions that are going to generate trust, both through transparency and accountability. But here's what I really hope for.
Okay.
What I'm really hoping for is that it's going to be able to ID some patterns of conduct. That's what I'm actually hoping for. Because I think it's identifying those patterns of conduct that you can see the evolution of one's perception. And when you can see that and link the two, if it's predictable, it's preventable. That's how we move. That's what this is going to allow us to do.
Yes. I mean, in my insides, I'm like, yes! I mean, I just be composed and navigate the conversation, but yes, and yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited.
Count it, it doesn't count.
Yes.
And we can continue to ignore and perpetuate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm just okay. All right. I mean, I'm conscious of the time. I'm reading the comments, and I want you to know that people are saying, "I wish we could clone her." People are giving me fire signs, pure gems. So I need you to know that the crib community is hearing and receiving what you're saying, and loving that you're stepping into the space with such integrity. And again, I want to say that as one of 5 senior Black police officers in the country, I recognize that heavy lift, both personally and professionally. And so the crib community is holding you, as am I. Just wanted to say that.
Oh.
So last question. I'm gonna try to keep it together. After the murder of George Floyd, in an interview, you acknowledged the prevalence of systemic racism in Canada that permeates the very fabric of our society, appearing in our police system, our education system, our healthcare system, etc., etc. You also spoke about the important role that police officers have in helping to address it. In fact, you profoundly stated that each of us must ask ourselves, what can we do to remove the knee off of George Floyd's neck? What can we do to remove the knee off of George Floyd's neck, were your words. So to that end, and perhaps to our beginning, what can the police do to remove the knee off of Black people's necks?
You know, the murder of George Floyd, and like you and many of us across the globe are still trying to deal with what we all witnessed. I've made numerous comments about how I've struggled with just having conversations with my children, trying to get them back to a place where, because things have changed. Things have changed in our family. Things have truly changed. And things have fundamentally changed for me as well. And when I made the statement, I was reflecting on all of us who work within institutions that are plagued with systemic racism. I was reflecting on the bystanders, the folks that stand by, the officers that stood by and watched that happen. Whether it's healthcare, education, whether it's justice systems, we can't be bystanders. We just can't. Every day we're witnessing situations where Black and racialized people are not being treated fairly. And so for those of us who are in positions who are able to see these things, we have to do something. We have to, in every form, we have to do something. We can't choose to look the other way. Not today. Right? Not today. Right. We can't do that. Not today. Right. And so what I'm saying is if we all take a stand, and whether we're in institutions, in every capacity, if we all take a stand to remove those barriers, then collectively we can remove the knee off of George Floyd's neck. That's what we can do. And I think it's incumbent upon every single one of us to truly look at where we are in our lives, look at the positions that we hold. You don't have to be, in a big shot operation. I told my kids, you can help to remove the knee off of George Floyd's neck in just your daily actions, in your daily comments, in your daily lives. But that's where it really, truly has to start from. And I just feel like if we all do that, and if we're not bystanders in that space, then I truly think that that's collectively what we will achieve. Yeah. But we all have to do it. We all have to do it.
what you're saying, it strikes me in terms of the whole idea, again, as you and I have talked. We've talked about silence is violence, but I think silence and inaction is also violent.
Absolutely.
And what you are uplifting into this conversation is about not being silent anymore.
That's right.
And even a step beyond that, not being inactive, but taking action, real tangible steps in partnership with community. Wow. I told you 30 minutes was going to go by quickly.
I can't believe it. Right?
Every week you say, we need more time. But I mean, it's designed to bring me back, keep you in.
Yes.
Acting Superintendent Stacy Clarke. I just want to let you know that I see you, I hear you, and thank you for standing in your truth for so many who no longer can stand, no longer can breathe. You are an invaluable gift to all of us, and I am so very grateful for your time, but your commitment to serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. I'm looking forward to more moments on the crib.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
Welcome you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you once again.
All right. Crib community, as always, from our crib to yours, stay safe and keep well. Good night.
Good night.